Hi everyone, my name's Nell, welcome back to my channel. I thought I would do another come paint with me style video. It was supposed to be my friend's baby shower this weekend, and obviously because of the whole situation we're in, it's now not going ahead, at least with not all of the guests. Her mum is still going to be throwing her a little baby shower. It's just going to be them, but they're still going to play games and open presents and all that kind of stuff. But as her baby gift, I thought I would do a little upcycle for her. So today I'm going to be painting these teeny tiny little Converse. I picked these up from eBay for £8.50 including postage, so they are an absolute bargain. I have washed them. I always try and wash things before I upcycle them, but that is especially important when it comes to baby clothes and anything to do with babies, because you don't know what's going to have been on them and if it's going to be something that irritates baby skin, so that is super important. I washed them using my Eco Egg, which I've been super excited to try and so far I'm loving, because you can't hand wash with it. You can just pop the egg in the water and let it sit for 5 minutes, and then you use that water to wash things, and it's great. Smells good, feels good, 10 out of 10. Anyway, I have already designed what is going to be going on these. She already knows what her baby's name is going to be, so we're going to be putting his name, his first name and his surname on the blank side, and then on the side with the little Converse logo on, I'm going to be painting a little monkey and a tiger. I have already sketched this design out on my graphics tablet, so I'm going to be referring to that from my computer. I am going to start with the animals first, because I think they're going to be the thing that won't take so much time. The name is all in like calligraphy style, which I am going to be hand painting, so that's going to take some time. So I'll start with the animals because they're relatively simple little designs. Let's start with the tiger. Now you can, when painting things like shoes, or if you're painting something that's going to be like wall art or something that is not necessarily going to be worn in the same way that clothing will be, you wouldn't necessarily need to use fabric medium because it doesn't have to have the same sort of softness and ability to be able to like move it around with the fabric. But I am still going to use it just because I think the quality is a little better, and I've got it, so why not? But if you don't fret, you don't have to use it, you're all good. You've got a bit of yellow. I'm going to do a little bit of a mustardy kind of colour in there just to kind of bring it down ever so slightly if I think it's a little bit too bold, a bit too bright. What else are we going to need? We're going to need a teeny bit of pink. Do a tiny little blob of red there. We'll also need some brown and some green. I think maybe I'll go for this more sort of bushy green. Obviously mix a little bit of fabric medium in there. Lovely. I have been really looking forward to doing this upcycle. It's one of those upcycles that I'll be laying in bed and trying to think of loads of different ideas, and I bloody love babies, so yeah, I've been really excited to get this done. And Chi, my friend who I'm doing it for, I just love her to absolute pieces, so I've wanted to get it right, and it took me a while to figure out exactly what sort of design I wanted to go for. She is having a boy. I didn't want to make it overly boyish because, you know, I don't know what his wardrobe's going to be like. Paint palette is sorted. I'm adding a tiny bit of that mustardy yellow into that brighter yellow just to tone it down a little bit. I think as well I'm going to just add a teeny bit of white in there. I did wash these today, so they are still a tiny little bit damp on the inside and in some areas, but the outside where I'm going to be painting isn't, so as long as that's dry we're all good, and these can just dry a little overnight. Put a little bit of that white into that yellow. I've got a little bit of tissue in there just to kind of fill it out a little bit and make a better canvas to paint on that's not quite so wrinkled and bunched up. It has got a tiny bit of wrinkling in it where it's been worn before, but the washing process has eased that off a little bit. With buying secondhand, obviously you're going to be careful that you're buying as newer quality, I suppose, as you can, especially if it's going to be a gift for someone. It's quite easy to do that with baby clothes, obviously, because babies and children only stay the size that they are for so long, so you'll quite often find a lot of really good quality items that still are near new because they haven't been able to wear them for very long. And because of this type of design it doesn't matter if it's not painted absolutely perfectly, because it is just a nice childish little sweet little design. So we're going to pop these base colours down first, and then once they're all down and dry, we'll then go in with the black outline. As it's a simple design, that should be nice and quick and easy. The wording or the lettering for his name on the other side is definitely going to be what takes the longest. Painting lettering freehand is always quite a task if it has to be in a very specific exact place, or if you've only got so much room. Especially with doing like calligraphy style, you can so easily accidentally do one letter slightly too big or in slightly the wrong place, and you really kind of do yourself over a little bit. So I'm definitely going to make sure I take my time with that part, because I'll be really gutted if I mess it up. So when you're going along edges like this, you've got this rubber edge and you want it to be perfect. You can use tape just to seal it off and make sure no paint gets on there. I could do that, I quite often do that, but I think today, because it's such a small area that I'm painting against it, I'm just gonna go ahead and just do it really carefully. Just going to go ever so gently along there, making sure I'm not getting any of the paint on the rubber section. The paint will, whilst it's wet, be really easy to wipe off of the rubber, so it's not too big a deal if I do go slightly over. But to save myself time and effort, I will try my best not to do that. What's nice and working with an item that's so small is it's really easy to move it around and get it in a position that you really want it to be in. When you've got like a big bulky jacket or something, you're trying to move it around, it can be a little awkward, and sometimes you end up getting paint where you don't want paint to be. So it's nice to work with such a tiny little canvas. Obviously, I said before, it doesn't really matter if it's not exact and the sizing's not right, but because I am working with such a small space, I don't want to end up making things too big and then not be able to fit in. Just again, that would be really annoying. So get these little ears painted in. Oh my god, this is so cute. Got the tail moving over here. The base yellow colour down for the tiger. Just let that dry off a little bit before I go in and add the other areas. What I'll do in the meantime is go in and paint the little leaves and bits of greenery. I think I have done the tail quite large there, but that is totally fine. It's probably given the yellow a bit of time to dry off, so we'll go in with some white to create this little tummy area and down the nose. Now actually it is a very, very pale yellow in these areas, so it actually works quite well that the yellow is still a little bit wet, because it means as we put the white in, they'll sort of blend together and make a perfect lighter version of the base colour. I had so much fun getting this design sketched out. I was trying out different animals and different styles. I was originally going to go for some moon and stars design, but then I thought, because they're white Converse, I think that would look quite nice maybe on like a little black or blue pair of Converse, but on white I didn't think it would look as well unless I like painted the whole shoe, but then I don't really see the point in buying a white pair if I'm just going to cover it all. So I went for this in the end, and I'm very pleased I did, because I think it's going to look really, really cute when it's done. Sweet. Right, the only colour we've got left to put down before the black is a tiny little bit of pink that's going to do the blush on the cheeks and in the ears. So we'll just mix up that pink colour here It's quite a warm sort of pink, so I think I'll add a tiny bit of that yellow into there as well. It's always good to bear in mind that when you're mixing up the colour, it will quite often actually dry ever so slightly darker. So if you're continuing a paint session and you want to remix colours that match the colours you've already used, just bear that in mind, because sometimes you might get ever so slightly off. This little pink colour looks so cute against this yellow too. I don't think I've ever been more excited to give someone an upcycle before. It's nice when it's a commission and you've done it for someone and you've designed it together and they finally get to see it and they really love it. That's a really, really lovely feeling. But when you give something to someone as a gift, I don't know, I think there's something really nice and special about that. I personally absolutely love handmade gifts. I remember one birthday, a few different people made me handmade gifts and I just loved it. Like, you really do feel that extra bit of love when someone's actually sat down and put time into making something for you, instead of just like ordering something online or whatever. If you're finding it hard to think of gift ideas, I think upcycling is always a really, really good one to go to. Assuming you think it's going to get used or appreciated, because you don't want to upcycle something and then them not really want to use it. What's nice about these is that I'm hoping there'll be a little bit of a keepsake for her to keep, even once he can't wear them anymore and he's grown out of them. It'll be a bit of a keepsake that they can keep on the shelf to show how tiny he was once. Right, now we've got the outline to do. Get that black mixed up with the bit of fabric medium. Just before I do that, I am actually going to go in very quickly with the hairdryer just to quickly dry those colours off. I'm probably going to go a bit quiet during this bit because be really careful with these lines. Going in with the black outline, it can be quite easy to accidentally go in a bit too much and make it a bit too bold. And when you're working with such a tiny canvas and it's a very small image, you run the risk of doing that even more so. So if you know you're going to be doing something that's a lot of tiny detail, or you are going in with intricate black outlines, then it's just as making sure that the environment that you're sat in and how you're going to be painting, you're not going to face too much distraction or anything that's going to disturb your concentration. It's quite nice working on canvas material because it's pretty much the same or very similar to just working on like a regular canvas. The texture is quite similar. It's a little bit more absorbent because it's a fabric. So that side is finished. Now that that is done, we're going to move on to the other shoe and we're going to paint the little monkey that's going to be this side whilst that dries. Pretty basic colour palette for the monkey side. It's mostly brown. Maybe bring a bit of white in to pale that up a little bit. Once again, we're going to get the base colours down and then go in with the black. Right, that's the monkey's base down. I'm gonna go in and do this tree whilst that dries. Right, I want a dark brown, so I'm just gonna go put some brown back in there. We'll put a little bit of black in there to make that a really dark brown. Now again, I'm going to be painting along the edge here. Now I could put a bit of tape down to make sure I'm not going to get any paint on there, but as it kind of rolls in a little bit, I don't know if the tape is really going to help that much with trying to get that line nice and crisp, so I'm just going to freehand it and be as careful as I can. But this tree design along with this monkey, I wanted to keep simplistic alongside the monkey. It took me a little while to figure out how I wanted the tree to be, how it was going to work in the space, and how I was going to give it character but keep it in the same simplistic style as the monkey. I'm going to go back in and do that monkey's face. I'm going to use a similar technique as I did earlier with the tiger and just go in with a bit of white, create that shade as it mixes into the brown underneath. Don't know if it's annoying for you guys every time I turn the shoe upside down, but I think because I've got the gap there and I can sort of rest my hand in it, it's a lot easier. So sorry about that, but hopefully you can still sort of see the techniques and things being used. So it'll go in with a tiny bit of yellow in there. And we do have a tiny little bit of that pink again in the ears, so I'll just go and put that in. The brown isn't quite dry, but that's fine as we're kind of only really having to blob it on the top, so it's not going to mix in too much. Bit more white and yellow into this face now that that part's dry. You can see here I've made this mistake of accidentally having a little bit too much water on my brush and it's made the colour bleed out a bit. I should be able to remove that a little bit. So now we're going to go into the final stages of this monkey side. I'm going to go in with the black details, and then once that's done we can crack on with the names on either side of the shoe. Lighting change, it is the next morning. I was going to carry on last night, but I figured the next part I've got to be really careful with and really make sure I get it right and accurate. So I decided to wait until this morning and then I can fully concentrate, fresh face, fresh brain. Now a lot of the time when I'm painting words or some kind of font, quite often I will use a stencil method rather than freehand if I need it to be exact, if it's like a direct copy of another well-known font or it needs to be in a very specific place. For these I'm going to go straight in with freehand painting. I figured because it is very flowy calligraphy style, it would just look a little bit more natural and a little bit nicer by freehanding it. You do run the risk with freehanding, if you're not super confident with it, getting the sizing slightly wrong. You know, you might start at a certain size and then it gets to the end and you're having to kind of squish them up a little bit to fit in the space. And obviously this is a very small area of canvas, so I'm going to have to be extra careful with sizing. But what I'm going to do is map out the words using a very light version of the colour that I'm going to use, so that I've got a bit of wiggle room if I do need to change it. What is handy about painting in a space like this is you've got a very structured layout in the space. So you've got your line here, your line here, you've got the swoop down here, you've got the 4 or 5, I can't count, the 5 eyelets. So you can use them as reference points for where you need to be putting your paintbrush, if that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that very well, but you'll see what it means. So I've got the colour that I want it to be mixed up here, but I'm going to bring a little bit of that over here and mix up a much lighter version of the colour to sketch out where I want it to be, and then I'll go in over the top with the deeper colour. So as I was saying with the reference points, on the design we know that the O is underneath but slightly to the left of this eyelet, the L is slightly to the left just under this eyelet, and the A is kind of diagonally across from that top eyelet. So we've also got the curl from the bottom of the A, sort of is going to swing round here a little bit, and that flick at the end of the O is just underneath this kind of thread line here. So that is going to help us map out where we want the lettering to be. So I'm going to start with, I think, the top of the L here, because it just goes on those tracks just underneath and to the left of the eyelet. It's very light, I don't know if you can see it very well, but that's just going to mark the top of that L there. We've got the flick at the end of the O, which will mark out, so just underneath these little lines here, just underneath this eyelet, so probably about there, where the end of that flick is going to be. Over here we'll mark the top of the A, around halfway on that eyelet there, diagonally across from that top eyelet, and it's maybe about halfway between this edge and the track lines, so about there. We'll mark that. I don't know how well you can see it on the screen, but we've got the name mapped out along there. So now we can go in with a darker colour. I've never been someone that's like good at calligraphy style writing. I don't think my handwriting's particularly nice. Sometimes you get a good pen and it comes out alright, but most of the time it's not very nice. You know, I wish I was someone who could just free flow, make it beautiful, but as well, I didn't just write this out from my head in terms of style. I'm not particularly good at doing that, so I did use a collection of Pinterest images, some calligraphy fonts to sort of create my own hybrid of all the ones that I was looking at. I didn't want to directly copy anything. Got to try and get those lines as crisp and clean as you can. Being extra careful today to not have excess water on my brush so I don't get the same bleeding that I accidentally had yesterday. And there we have it. We've got Arlo Taylor on one side, and then on the other side we've got these lovely little drawings. Painting items like this are a wonderful way to gift someone with something that is something a bit more personal and a really nice keepsake for them to keep for years to come. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've maybe learned something. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.